प्रिय विद्यार्थियों, पूर्व में हमने टिश्यू कल्चर पर विभिन्न व्याख्यानों के माध्यम से उसके मेथड्स के बारे में जानकारी प्राप्त की। किस प्रकार से टिश्यू कल्चर किसी भी पादप की कोशिका से पूरा पौधा बनाकर उसकी पूर्ण सत्यता को सिद्ध करता है। इसी क्रम में आज हम प्लांट टिश्यू कल्चर की क्या एप्लीकेशंस हैं, इसके पार्ट 1 के अंदर कुछ विशेष एप्लीकेशंस के बारे में बात करेंगे और आने वाले कुछ लेक्चर्स के अंदर हम इन लेक्चर्स में और भी जो इसकी एप्लीकेशंस हैं उसके बारे में चर्चा जारी रखेंगे। Plant tissue culture has many applications in various type of fields like micropropagation, germplasm preservation, soma clonal variations, haploid and dihaploid production, in vitro hybridization by protoplast fusion, then germplasm storage, soma clonal variations, embryo rescue, ovule and ovary cultures, anther and pollen cultures, callus and protoplast culture, protoplasmic fusion, in vitro screening and multiplication. First we'll take up micropropagation. Micropropagation, that is a method by which we can multiply large number of plants by a small propagule in very small space and in large numbers. So here the diagram shown is of meristem tip culture by which we can produce virus free plants. सूक्ष्म प्रवर्धन की इस तकनीक के अंदर, जो कि आपको चित्र में दर्शाई गई है, इसके द्वारा हम वायरस मुक्त पादपों का निर्माण कर सकते हैं। वायरस मुक्त पादपों का निर्माण उन पौधों के लिए आवश्यक होता है जहां पर फ्रूट या वेजिटेबल प्लांट्स जिनके अंदर वायरस का संक्रमण होता है, और जब भी हम किसी भी प्रोपेग्यूल्स के माध्यम से जब हम मल्टीप्लिकेशन करते हैं तो वो मल्टीप्लिकेशन वायरस से मुक्त नहीं हो पाता है। ऐसी कंडीशन के अंदर हमें किसी भी प्लांट जिसको हमें वायरस से मुक्त करना है उसकी मेरिस्टेम की टिप जो है वो काम में ली जाती है, और मेरिस्टेम टिप को हम माध्यम के ऊपर ग्रो करते हैं जैसा कि यहाँ चित्र में दर्शाया गया है, और उस मेरिस्टेम टिप के कल्चर के द्वारा हम वायरस मुक्त पादपों का निर्माण कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि मेरिस्टेम के जो टिश्यू होते हैं वो वायरस के कंपैरिजन में तेज़ी से विभाजित होते हैं और वायरस उनको संक्रमित नहीं कर पाता है। इसलिए जो मेरिस्टेम टिप जो होती है वो हमेशा वायरस से मुक्त होती है और वो जो है वायरस मुक्त पादपों के निर्माण के लिए अत्यंत ही उपयोगी एक साधन के रूप में काम करती है। माइक्रोप्रोपेगेशन के 5 स्टेप यहाँ पर दिखाए गए हैं, किस प्रकार से माइक्रो एक्सिलरी ब्रांचिंग या एडवेंटिस शूट फॉर्मेशन से सूक्ष्म प्रवर्धन जो है वो किया जा सकता है, और किस प्रकार से कल्चर्स का रेजिंग किया जाता है, उनका मल्टीप्लिकेशन किया जाता है, फिर रूटिंग की जाती है, प्लांट का निर्माण किया जाता है। तो इससे 0 से लगा करके स्टेज 4 तक इसके स्टेज आपको इस स्लाइड में दिखाए गए हैं। स्टेज 0 दैट इज सेलेक्शन एंड प्रिपरेशन ऑफ द मदर प्लांट, that is sterilization of the plant tissue. Stage 1, that is initiation of culture. Explants are placed onto growth medium, and then second stage, explant transferred to shoot medium, and shoots can be constantly divided. Stage 3, that is rooting. Explant transferred to rooting medium, and finally the complete plantlets are transferred to the soil where they become hardened. So micropropagation has these all 5 steps in which right from the selection and preparation of explant to initiation of culture, then initiation of shoots, and then rooting, and then hardening, and finally the transferred into the soil. Micropropagation has many advantages. From one to many propagules rapidly we can multiply. Multiplication in controlled laboratory conditions. Then the continuous propagation around the year. Potential for disease-free propagules. Inexpensive per plant once they are established. Precise crop production scheduling and reduced stock plant space. So there are so many advantages by this technique, we can multiply large number of plants in very short or small space. Micropropagation has some disadvantages also. The specialized equipment facility required, more technical expertise required, protocols not optimized for all species, plant produced may not fit industry standards, relatively expensive to set up the tissue culture laboratories where there has been many requirements. They are the equipments, the chemicals which are very expensive. So micropropagation techniques once they are not established are very expensive. So there are some disadvantages also for this technique. Micropropagation applications, the rapid increase of stock of new varieties, elimination of diseases, cloning of plant types not easily propagated by conventional methods, few offshoots, sprouts, seeds, date palm, ferns. There are so many plants which has problems for the conventional propagation methods. Then the tissue culture has very important play to part in the micropropagation of such plants which are problematic. Propagules have enhanced growth features, multi-branch characters. Methods of micropropagation, there are few methods by which we can multiply the plants. The axillary branching, 95% of the all micropropagations includes the axillary branching, because the plants produced by this method are genetically stable, and it is a simple and straightforward technique. Another technique, that is adventitious shoot formation, that is organogenesis. It is efficient but prone to genetic instability. Here the explant used are the hypocotyle or the stem or leaf, any plant part by which we can originate the shoots directly on the explant. Then it becomes the adventitious shoot formation. Then third is somatic embryogenesis, where somatic embryos are formed by the callus, or directly we can produce the somatic embryo, but it is little used and potentially phenomenally efficient technique, but there is a chance of variations are there. First, we will talk about the axillary shoot proliferation. That is, axillary shoot proliferation is the method by which clonal propagation or in vitro propagation has been done. Growth of axillary buds stimulated by cytokinin treatment. Axillary shoots are originated by the addition of cytokinin in the medium, and shoots arise mostly from pre-existing meristems in the nodal area. There are few dormant axillary buds are there in the node area of the explant, and when we put cytokinin in the media, cytokinin then inculcate the power to come out these axillary buds, which are finally in the form of the shoots. So clonal in vitro propagation by repeated enhanced formation of axillary shoots from shoot tips or lateral meristems cultured on media, supplemented with growth regulator. Usually the cytokinin, high cytokinin to low auxin, is the combination which favors the formation of shoots in the plants. Shoots produced are either rooted first in vitro or rooted and acclimatized ex vitro. Then there are 4 steps of micropropagation are there, as we have already talked in the first steps. Then there are some ex vitro plants. Stage 1, introduction and establishment of aseptic cultures. Then stage 2 is multiplication. Stage 3rd, where rooting and preparation is there. And then 4th step, where it is acclimatization. It may be in vitro or ex vitro. And finally, the plants are transferred ex vitro in the field. The virus elimination in the process, as we have talked in the case of meristem tip culture. Here the plant from the field, then the pre-growth in the greenhouse. There are some another methods also there. To active growth, we can give heat treatment 35 degree, centigrade per month. Then virus-free plants are also obtained from meristem culture. Then virus testing is there, and micropropagation can be done. So these are the methods by which we can get virus-free plants. Then somatic embryogenesis. Somatic embryogenesis is the method by which formation of embryo from any plant tissue, they may be obtained by method of callus formation, or they may form directly also. So there is somatic embryogenesis of two types, that is direct somatic embryogenesis and indirect somatic embryogenesis. Here in the slide, the indirect somatic embryogenesis has been shown. We got the explant, then callus is formed. Callus, which is embryogenic, they are raised to the maturation, and finally when we put on the germination medium, then the somatic embryo germinates into complete plantlet. The induction of somatic embryos requires auxins, pro-embryogenic masses form, and then in mostly in somatic embryogenesis experiments, 2,4-D is mostly used as auxin, and sometimes naphthalene acetic acid and dicamba are also used for the formation of somatic embryos. The development of somatic embryo requires auxins. For the in later conditions, the auxins removed from the medium, which favors the formation of somatic embryos from the callus. Continued use of auxins inhibit embryogenesis. Stages are similar to those of zygotic embryogenesis. The somatic embryos are formed using all these 5 steps. The globular embryo, then it becomes in heart shaped, then finally it becomes torpedo, which converts into cotyledonary embryo, that is zygote embryo, and when on germination it converts into plant. Require complete maturation with apical meristem, radicle and cotyledons. Often obtain repetitive embryogeny. Storage protein production is necessary. Often requires abscisic acid for complete maturation. Medium is supplied with abscisic acid. Abscisic acid often required for normal embryo morphology, that is fascination and precocious germination. And finally, by germination we can got the plant. It requires sugar 10% sucrose in the form of, then mannitol 4% may also be used, and for drying and desiccation, abscisic acid level decreases in woody plants. Finally, moisture content 10 to 40%. Sometimes chilling is also done, decreases abscisic acid levels in woody plants, and sometimes the germination may only 3 to 5%. And here in the slide we can see how somatic embryos are formed. In the various slides we can have the embryos or how they are formed. On the callus, embryogenic callus is more compact, and this embryogenic callus is then put on the medium, and somatic embryo where here the embryogenic callus is organizing and put on the medium. They are more compact somatic embryos are there. When they are put on the oxygen free medium, then it germinates and form complete plantlet. These plantlets are kept in the bottles for in vitro hardening, and finally they are transferred into pots or then transferred to field. So these are the various methods for micropropagation technique by which we can grow large number of plants. So in tissue culture, the micropropagation is the first and very important aspect of application of plant tissue culture, by which we can get large number of plants, and we can multiply any of the plant which has a problem of seed setting, seed viability, and seed germination. Then tissue culture is very important application for such type of experiments. So in later we'll have the another applications in coming slides in the next lecture. Okay, thank you.